Hello, guys. Welcome you all to the Insights into Books podcast. Let's start today's discussion, guys.
It is fantastic to be here. And honestly, the topic we are unpacking today is one that, if you really get it, can fundamentally change the way you navigate, well, pretty much everything.
That's a huge claim. But I think the material really does back it up. You know, it got me thinking, we have this cultural obsession with the natural.
Oh, absolutely.
The person who just gets it.
Yeah.
The one who aces the test without studying, or the athlete who just seems to glide while everyone else is, sweating and struggling.
We put them on a pedestal. We almost deify them. It's like they have some kind of magic that the rest of us don't.
Exactly. And on the flip side of that coin, there's this deep, deep fear of being the person who tries really, really hard and still fails.
Mm-hmm. That's the real shame, isn't it, in our culture?
It's like if you have to put in that much effort, maybe you just don't have it. Maybe you don't belong.
And that specific fear you just described, that is the absolute heartbeat of what we're calling the fixed mindset. It's one half of this core duality we're going to be exploring. Based on decades of research into success and motivation, it turns out there are really two fundamental ways of seeing your place in the world. The fixed mindset and its opposite, the growth mindset.
Now, I want to jump in right there because I think a lot of people hear mindset and they immediately think, positive thinking.
Right.
Like it's just about looking in the mirror and telling yourself you're great.
Agrees. Manifesting success. That is absolutely not what this is. This isn't pop psychology about just being optimistic.
Okay, good.
It's about the very mechanics of how your brain perceives ability. It's like the underlying operating system your mind uses to interpret difficulty and struggle.
The operating system. I like that. So let's boot up that first OS, the fixed mindset. If I'm running on that program, what does the world look like to me?
If you're in a fixed mindset, you fundamentally believe that your core qualities are, carved in stone, set. You have a certain amount of intelligence, a specific personality, a fixed level of moral character, and that's it. That is the hand you were dealt.
So if I think I'm bad at public speaking, that's just a fact about me. It's like having brown hair.
Precisely. And that sounds simple, but think about the psychological ripple effect of that belief. If your intelligence is a finite resource, then your primary mission in life becomes proving you have a lot of it.
You have to protect your stash.
We have to protect it and show it off at every opportunity. Every situation, a meeting at work, a first date, a test, it becomes a judgment. It's no longer a learning experience. It's a test.
Will I look smart or will I look dumb? Will I be the winner or the loser?
Exactly. It creates this constant, relentless urgency to prove yourself over and over and over again, because deep down you're terrified that maybe your fixed amount isn't actually that high.
That sounds exhausting. It sounds like living your entire life on defense.
Yeah.
You're just protecting the little castle of your ego instead of, going out and exploring.
That is the perfect analogy. You are protecting the castle. And what happens when you're in a defensive crouch all the time?
You can't move forward.
You can't learn. Because learning, by its very definition, requires you to admit ignorance for a moment. You have to say, I don't know this. But to the fixed mindset, saying I don't know is just another way of saying I am dumb.
So it's deeply shameful.
It's the ultimate shame. So they stop asking questions. They stop raising their hand. They stop taking on challenging projects.
Okay, so that's the grim reality of the fixed mindset. Let's switch operating systems. What does it feel like to have a growth mindset?
The growth mindset is built on the belief that your basic qualities, things like intelligence and talent, are things you can cultivate.
Cultivate. Like a garden.
Exactly. Through your effort, through the strategies you use, and through the help you get from others.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate for a second here, because that can sound a little bit like a motivational poster. You can be anything you want to be. Is this saying that if I just try hard enough, I can become the next Einstein or compose a symphony?
No, and that is the most common and the most important misconception to clear up. The growth mindset does not mean everyone has the same potential or that reality doesn't exist.
Right.
We all have different starting points, different genetic predispositions, different aptitudes. What the growth mindset says is that a person's true potential is unknown and, crucially, unknowable.
Unknowable. That's a powerful word.
It is. Because you simply cannot foresee what you or anyone else can accomplish with years of passion, dedication, hard work, and good training. The fixed mindset says, this is my limit. The growth mindset says, I have no idea what my limit is, so let's find out.
That one distinction changes everything. It reframes the entire goal of your life.
How so?
Well, in the fixed mindset, the goal is to look smart. to prove yourself. But in the growth mindset, the goal is to get smart, to improve yourself.
You've nailed it. It shifts the focus from performance to progress. Why would you hide your weaknesses when you could strengthen them? Why would you surround yourself with people who just tell you how great you are instead of people who actually challenge you to be better?
That passion for stretching yourself, that's the core of it then.
It's the hallmark, the desire to stretch and stick with it, especially when things get tough.
I want to get more granular, though. Let's talk about the actual voice in our heads, the internal monologue.
Yes, the narrator.
So let's use an example. I'm trying to learn a new skill for work.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a new piece of software, and I just keep getting error messages. I can't figure it out. It's frustrating.
Okay.
What does that fixed mindset voice say to me in that moment?
The fixed mindset voice is a judge. It's a critic. It says, see, you're not a tech person. You're too old to learn this stuff. Everyone else gets it. You're going to look like an idiot when you have to ask for help.
Wow, it's brutal. It immediately makes it about my identity.
It's a verdict. The difficulty is interpreted as a final judgment on your permanent abilities.
Okay, same scenario. I'm staring at the error message. What does the growth mindset voice say?
The growth mindset voice is a coach, or maybe a detective. It says, okay, this is tricky. This is harder than I thought. What am I missing? Let me try a different approach. Who could I ask for advice on this? It focuses on the process, not the person.
It's not, I am a failure. It's, this strategy failed.
That separation is everything. The action is separate from the identity. And that separation is what gives you the power to persist. Which brings us to one of the most fundamental and I think misunderstood concepts in all of this.
Which is?
The meaning of effort.
Ah, yes. Our very weird, very complicated relationship with trying hard.
It's so strange, isn't it? In the fixed mindset, effort is actually a bad thing.
Wait, how can effort be bad?
Well, the logic goes like this. If you were truly smart, if you were a natural, you wouldn't need to try.
Oh, I see.
Things should just come easily to you. So if you have to study for hours or practice for weeks or really work at your marriage, it's actually evidence that you lack talent.
So effort is a sign of deficiency.
It's a sign that you're an imposter. And this creates a truly dangerous trap that we see everywhere, from classrooms to boardrooms. It's this low-effort syndrome.
People just stop trying.
They stop trying, and it seems so counterintuitive, but it's a self-preservation mechanism. Think it through with me.
Okay.
If you give it your absolute all, you pull the all-nighter, you prepare for weeks, you put your whole heart on the line, and then you fail. What excuse do you have?
None. There are no excuses left. It just means I wasn't good enough.
Exactly. Effort robs you of your excuses. It exposes you. But if you don't really try, if you procrastinate, if you go out the night before the big presentation, if you wing it and then you fail, what do you get to tell yourself?
Well, I could have done it if I'd actually tried.
Bingo. You preserve the myth of your own potential. You get to live in the comfortable fantasy of who you could have been without ever having to risk finding out who you actually are.
That's a dark way to live.
Yeah.
You're actively sabotaging your own success just to protect your ego.
It's tragic. There's a famous story about the violin prodigy, Nadja Salerno-Sonnenberg. As a child, she was hailed as a genius, a total natural.
So she had the genius label to protect.
A huge one. But as she got older, the music became more demanding. The competition got fiercer. She couldn't just coast on raw talent anymore. She actually had to practice hard.
And that terrified her.
It was terrifying because in her mind, if she tried her absolute best and still wasn't the number one, then the genius label was a lie. She was just ordinary.
So what did she do?
She stopped practicing. She would show up to lessons without her violin. She'd make excuses. That way, when she played poorly, she could always fall back on the excuse. I'm still a genius. I just didn't try this week.
Wow. It's like she built a fortress of excuses around herself.
She did. Until a teacher finally saw through it and called her out. He told her something like, you're going to fail, not because you lack the talent, but because you are a coward. You're too afraid to find out just how great you could be.
That must have been like a splash of cold water.
It was. It was a wake-up call. She realized that effort wasn't the thing that proved her weakness. Effort was the thing that would ignite her ability. And that's the growth mindset view. Effort isn't for the weak. Effort is what makes you strong.
Okay, so let's say we do that. We embrace the effort. We put in the work. But sometimes we still fail. We still fall flat on our face.
It's inevitable.
How we handle that moment of impact has to be completely different for each mindset too.
It's night and day. It is the ultimate fork in the road. For the fixed mindset, as we've hinted, failure is not an event. It's an identity.
It transforms from I failed to I am a failure.
There it is, the permanence. And because that feels like a life sentence, the mind's immediate reaction is to deflect, to reject the verdict.
So you blame.
You blame, the test was unfair, my boss has it in for me, the economy's terrible. You look for any external cause to avoid looking inward.
Or, and I've seen this, you find someone who did even worse.
Downward social comparison. Well, at least I'm not as bad as that guy.
Yeah.
It's a way of propping up a fragile ego by tearing someone else down.
There was a study on this that I found genuinely shocking. With students who failed a test, they were asked what they would do next.
This is one of the most damning pieces of evidence. The students with a fixed mindset after failing said they would study less for the next test.
Less. That makes absolutely no sense if your goal is to pass.
But it makes perfect sense if your goal is to protect your ego. They're retreating to the "I didn't really try" excuse. But it got even worse than that.
How?
A significant percentage of them said they would seriously consider cheating next time.
So the mindset can actually push you toward unethical behavior.
Of course. Because if the goal is just to get the A, to get that stamp of approval that says you are smart, then how you get it becomes secondary. The outcome is all that matters, not the process of learning.
Okay, let's contrast that. The growth mindset person fails. It still stings.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't about being an emotionless robot. People with a growth mindset feel disappointment. They feel the pain of failure. The difference is they don't let it define them.
So what do they do with it?
They see it as information, as data. Okay, that hurt. But why did I fail? What was my strategy? Clearly it didn't work. I need to find a new one. It's a wake-up call, not a verdict.
This reminds me of that concept from the Chicago High School, the power of yet.
Yes. A school dealing with many students who were struggling. They made a simple but profound change. They abolished the grade fail.
And replaced it with what?
If a student didn't pass a course, their transcript didn't say F, it said not yet.
Not yet. It sounds like such a small semantic change, but the psychological weight is completely different.
It's monumental. Think about the word fail. It's a period at the end of a sentence. It's final. It's a dead end. But not yet implies a journey. It puts you on a learning curve. It says, you're not there yet, but you're on the way.
It frames failure as a temporary state, not a permanent trait.
And this isn't just, feel-good talk. They've demonstrated this on a neurological level. They've put EEG caps on students' heads to see what's physically happening in the brain.
So we can actually see the mindset at work.
We can. They give students a task where they are guaranteed to make some mistakes. When the fixed mindset students get feedback that they made an error, their brain activity essentially flatlines.
Flatlines, as in nothing happens.
They disengage. The brain literally tunes out. It's as if the wrong signal triggers a defensive shutdown. They don't want to confront the error. They are, on a neural level, running away from it.
It's neurological denial.
It is. But the brains of the growth mindset students, when they see they've made a mistake, their brains light up. There's a huge spike in activity. They're paying more attention to their errors than their correct answers.
Why?
Because that's where the learning is. They're deeply processing the feedback, trying to understand the gap between their attempt and the correct answer. Their brains are actively rewiring themselves in response to failure.
That's incredible. Which brings us to the huge question for every parent, every manager, every teacher listening right now. How do we create that lit-up brain? How do we foster that resilience?
It all starts with one of the most counterintuitive findings in the whole field. It starts with the danger of praise.
Right, and this is the one that really messes with people. Because we are all taught that to build confidence, especially in kids, we have to praise them. You're so smart. You're a natural. You're a genius.
It comes from such a good place. We want to give them this armor of self-esteem to take out into the world.
But the research is clear on this, isn't it?
It is crystal clear. Praising intelligence, praising talent. It consistently harms motivation and damages performance in the long run. It is one of the most direct ways to install a fixed mindset in a child.
Let's break down the why on that. Why does telling my kid you're so smart actually hurt them?
Because of the message they actually hear. When you praise the trait smart after a success, the child learns success means I'm smart, I'm valued for this trait.
Okay, that seems fine so far.
But what happens next week when they face a much harder math problem, when they struggle, when they don't get it right away? What does that struggle now signify?
If success means I'm smart, then struggle means I'm dumb.
Precisely. And because their identity and your approval are tied to being smart, they will do anything to avoid that feeling of being dumb. They stop taking risks, they shy away from challenges, they need to protect the label. This was proven in the famous puzzle study.
Let's walk through that one because the details are just staggering.
So they took a large group of fifth graders and gave them a relatively easy set of nonverbal puzzles. Naturally, most of them did quite well.
So step one, everyone experiences success.
Yes. Then came the crucial part. They divided the kids into two groups for the feedback. To one group, the researchers said, "Wow, you did really well. You must be really smart at this." That's the ability praise.
And the other group.
To the other group, they said, "Wow, you did really well. You must have worked really hard at this." That's the process praise.
So smart versus hard worker. That's the only variable.
That's it. Then they offered the kids a choice for their next task. They said, you can pick a harder set of puzzles. You might not do as well, but you'll probably learn a lot. Or you can do another set just like the first one that you'll do well on for sure.
The choice between growth and safety.
And the results were stark. The overwhelming majority of the kids praised for being smart chose the easy puzzle.
They didn't want to risk the smart label.
They were terrified of it. Failing the hard puzzle would invalidate the praise they just got. But the kids praised for their effort. Over 90% of them chose the harder puzzle.
90%.
They said things like, "Of course I want the hard one. The easy one is boring." They were hungry to learn. But it gets even more dramatic.
Go on.
The researchers then took the choice away. They gave all the kids a very difficult set of puzzles designed to be too hard for them. Everyone struggled. Everyone failed.
So how did the two groups react to that inevitable failure?
The smart kids were devastated. They saw it as proof that they weren't smart after all. They got frustrated, they got anxious, they hated it. The effort kids, on the other hand, stayed engaged. They saw it as a challenge. They were heard saying things like, "I love a challenge." They worked harder and tried more strategies.
And then there was one final round, wasn't there?
Yes. The researchers went back and gave everyone another easy set of puzzles, just like the very first round. This is the most tragic part.
What happened?
The performance of the effort kids improved. The struggle had actually made them better. But the smart kids, their scores plummeted. Their confidence was so shattered by that one experience of failure that they performed worse than they had at the very beginning.
That one sentence of praise made them more fragile.
It made them incredibly brittle. And there's one more detail that just gives me chills.
The lying.
The lying. At the very end, the researchers told the kids they were going to send the results to another school and ask them to write down their score on a form.
Anonymous self-report.
Nearly 40% of the kids who were praised for intelligence lied. They inflated their scores.
Unbelievable. We taught fifth graders to lie and underperform with a single, well-intentioned compliment.
We taught them that the image of success is more important than the reality of learning. That is the core danger of praising ability.
So what's the solution? We can't just not praise our kids.
No, of course not. The solution is to praise the process. It's called process praise.
Give me some examples.
Instead of, "You're a brilliant artist," you say, "I love the way you blended those colors. Tell me how you did that."
So you focus on the technique.
Yes. Instead of, "You're a math whiz," you say, "That was a tough problem. I'm really impressed with how you stuck with it and tried different ways to solve it." You're praising the perseverance, the strategy, the focus, the effort.
You're giving them a roadmap for future success. If they want to succeed again, they know what to do.
Yeah.
Use good strategies and persevere.
Exactly. Be smart is not actionable advice. Work hard and try new approaches is a concrete plan.
Okay, but I can see a potential pitfall here, a misunderstanding. Does this just mean we praise any effort, no matter the result?
No, and this is such a critical point. This leads to what's now called the false growth mindset.
A false growth mindset, what's that?
It's when people think it's just about praising effort for effort's sake. So a student tries really hard, studies for hours, but still gets a D on the test. The parent with a false growth mindset says, "Oh, that's okay, honey. You tried your best. Good effort."
Which feels empty. It feels like a consolation prize.
It's worse than empty, it's misleading. Because it teaches the child that effort alone is the goal. But if your hard work led to a D, it means your effort was ineffective. Your strategy was wrong.
So what's the true growth mindset response in that situation?
The true response is to link the effort to the outcome and then focus on strategy. You'd say, okay, you put in a lot of hours studying, but it didn't translate to the score we wanted. So let's talk about how you were studying. Let's figure out a better strategy for next time.
It's not just try harder. It's try differently.
Precisely. It's about smart, effective effort, not just blind grinding.
Let's expand this out now. Let's move from the classroom to the world of sports. Because if there's any place where the myth of the natural is worshipped, it's there.
Absolutely. We see an amazing athlete and we think they were just born that way.
But the research suggests that even at the highest levels, mindset is the great separator. Let's talk about Michael Jordan.
The ultimate icon. People assume he was a prodigy from day one.
Right. But he was famously cut from his high school varsity basketball team.
He was. And he wasn't this can't-miss prospect that every college was fighting over. He became Michael Jordan through a relentless, almost maniacal work ethic. His teammates talk about him being the first one in the gym and the last one to leave every single day.
He wasn't relying on his talent. He was building it.
He was obsessed with his weaknesses. If he felt his defensive game was lacking, he would spend hours just practicing defensive drills. A fixed mindset player has a bad shooting night and says, I'm just cold tonight. Jordan would have a bad shooting night and then stay after practice to take 500 more shots to fix his mechanics.
He saw his abilities as something to be honed, not just something he had.
And look at someone like Muhammad Ali. Physically, he wasn't the ideal heavyweight. He didn't have the longest reach or the most powerful punch. Critics said his style was all wrong.
But he became the greatest.
Because his greatest weapon was his mind. He outthought his opponents. He studied them, found their psychological weaknesses. He used strategy and a supreme belief in his ability to grow and adapt in the ring.
And then you have the story of Wilma Rudolph.
An incredible story. The fastest woman in the world at the 1960 Olympics. But as a child, she had polio. She wore leg braces. Doctors told her family she would be lucky to walk normally, let alone run.
From leg braces to 3 gold medals. It's the ultimate rebuttal to the idea that your starting point is your destiny.
If she had a fixed mindset, her story would have ended with those leg braces. But her belief was that her current reality was not her final destination.
And what about the other side of that? The talented athletes who don't make it. You mentioned Billy Beane, the Moneyball guy.
Yes, before he was the genius general manager, he was supposed to be the next superstar player. A can't-miss prospect. He had all the physical tools.
So why did he flame out?
He had a cripplingly fixed mindset. When he got to the professional leagues and started facing failure for the first time in his life, he couldn't handle it. A single strikeout would send him into a rage or a depression. He saw every mistake as a verdict that he wasn't the natural everyone thought he was.
He had the talent, but he didn't have the psychological engine to handle the struggle of getting better.
Exactly. He plateaued and quit because he was terrified of looking bad during the learning process. The irony is that painful experience is what made him such a great manager. He stopped looking for the guys who looked like perfect naturals and started valuing players with grit and persistence. He learned firsthand that talent is overrated.
That idea of fragility, that the fixed mindset makes an entire organization brittle, that feels like a perfect transition to the world of business.
It absolutely is. You can feel the mindset of a company within an hour of walking in the door. The classic cautionary tale here is, of course, Enron.
Right. The symbol of corporate arrogance and collapse.
Their entire identity was built on being the smartest guys in the room. They had a policy of only hiring from the top 5% of Ivy League business schools. They created what they called a culture of talent.
And what happens in a culture of talent?
It becomes a culture of fear. If your value is based on being a genius, then admitting you don't know something is career suicide. Asking for help is a sign of weakness.
So no one asks for help.
No one admits a mistake. So when a project started losing money, instead of addressing it, they would hide it. They cooked the books. They created elaborate lies to maintain the illusion that they were all geniuses who never failed.
The company's fixed mindset forced them to choose deception over learning.
It led them directly to ruin. They couldn't adapt because adapting requires first admitting that your current strategy isn't working. And that was something their culture made impossible.
So contrast that with a growth mindset leader, someone like Lou Gerstner, who famously turned around IBM.
When Gerstner took over IBM in the 90s, it was a lot like Enron. It was arrogant, siloed, and dying. Different divisions were practically at war with each other, each trying to prove they were smarter than the others.
A collection of fixed mindsets.
Exactly. Gerstner came in and completely broke that down. He forced cooperation. He rewarded teamwork over individual genius. He famously got rid of the dress code, not because he cared about ties, but to send a signal that the old, rigid, hierarchical IBM was dead. He shifted the focus from proving you were right to finding the right answer. together.
It's the difference between a leader who wants to be a genius and a leader who wants to build a genius team.
That's the perfect way to put it. Fixed mindset leaders create groupthink because they see dissent as a personal attack on their intelligence. Growth mindset leaders encourage debate because they see it as the fastest path to learning.
Okay, let's bring this into the most personal area of all. Let's talk about relationships and love.
This is where so many of us are secretly operating with a deeply fixed mindset without even realizing it.
Because of the fairy tale narrative, the idea of the one, of destiny.
Right. The if it's meant to be, it will be easy myth. That's a purely fixed mindset view of love.
Explain that.
It assumes that compatibility is a fixed trait. Either you're soulmates or you're not. So if problems arise, if you have to work at the relationship, the fixed mindset concludes, oh, this must not be the right person for me.
Because if they were the one, we wouldn't have to try so hard.
Exactly. Conflict is seen as a sign of a fatal flaw in the partnership, rather than an inevitable part of two people growing together. You end up blaming your partner for their flaws instead of working together on your shared challenges.
You see them as a finished product that's defective, not a work in progress like yourself.
Yes, and you see the relationship itself that way. The growth mindset, in contrast, assumes that a good relationship requires effort. It's something you build together, not something you find perfectly formed.
And what about rejection, a breakup? How do the two mindsets handle that pain differently?
For the fixed mindset, being rejected is a devastating verdict. It feels like a stamp that reads unlovable.
It becomes an identity again.
It does, and that shame often curdles into a need for revenge. I'll make them regret leaving me. It's about reclaiming a sense of power. The growth mindset person still feels the hurt deeply, but their focus is on learning. What can I take from this experience? How can I be a better partner in the future? What do I need to heal in myself? They focus on understanding and forgiveness because that's the path to their own growth.
So we've seen this pattern play out in every aspect of life. The evidence is just overwhelming, which leads to the final crucial question. Can we change? If I'm listening to this and recognizing myself in the fixed mindset descriptions, am I stuck?
Absolutely not. And this is where the hard science of neuroplasticity comes in, and it's the most hopeful part of this whole discussion.
Neuroplasticity. Break that word down for us.
For a very long time, the scientific consensus was that the adult brain was essentially fixed. It developed in childhood, and then, like concrete, it's set.
The old, you can't teach an old dog new tricks idea.
Exactly. We now know, unequivocally, that is false. The brain is plastic, meaning it is malleable. It physically changes and reorganizes itself based on your experiences, thoughts, and efforts throughout your entire life.
So when I learn a new skill, I'm literally remodeling my brain.
You are. On a cellular level, your brain's neurons are forming new connections. The more you practice and struggle with something, the stronger those connections become. There's a process called myelination, where a fatty sheath wraps around these neural pathways.
What did that do?
It's like upgrading a slow, clumsy dirt path into a paved superhighway. The signal travels faster and more efficiently. You are literally building a smarter, faster brain. Talent is often just a well-myelinated circuit built through thousands of hours of practice.
But the struggle isn't a sign that you're failing. It's the feeling of your brain building itself.
That is the feeling of myelination. It's the feeling of growth. And just teaching people this basic brain science can be enough to start shifting their mindset. They realize their intelligence isn't a fixed thing. It's a dynamic system they can improve.
Okay, so let's make this super practical. I'm listening. I'm convinced. I want to cultivate more of a growth mindset. What are the steps?
There's a clear 4-step process you can start today. Step 1 is simple. Awareness. Just start to listen for that fixed mindset voice in your head.
The one that says, you can't do this, or what if you fail?
That's the one. Don't judge it. Don't argue with it yet. Just notice it. Acknowledge it. Ah, there's my fixed mindset talking.
Okay, so I hear it. What's step 2?
Step 2 is to identify your triggers. When does that voice show up? Is it when you receive criticism? Is it when you face a really big challenge? Is it when you see a peer succeed? Recognizing the pattern gives you power over it.
So I'm aware of the voice. I know what triggers it. Step 3.
Step 3 is to talk back. Now you can argue with it. You have to consciously choose a growth mindset response.
Give me an example of that internal debate.
The fixed voice says, don't apply for that promotion. You don't have all the qualifications. You'll be exposed as a fraud.
Okay.
The growth voice replies, I might not have 100% of the qualifications yet, but I can learn them. The job description is a wish list, not a checklist. I'll learn more by trying than by not trying. You are actively coaching yourself through the fear.
And what's the final step?
Step 4 is action. You can't just think your way into a new mindset. You have to act your way into it. Take the challenging project. Listen to the critical feedback instead of getting defensive. Persist when it gets hard. It's the action that solidifies the new neural pathways.
So you take the growth mindset action, even if you're still feeling the fixed mindset fear.
That's how you build the bridge from one to the other. You practice it until you become it.
This has been just a truly mind-altering deep dive. I feel like I have a new lens to look at my entire life through.
That's what it is. It's a lens. And once you start looking through it, you can't unsee it. You see challenges everywhere, not as threats, but as opportunities.
If there's one core idea you want people to take away from our conversation today, what is it?
That you are a work in progress, and that is a wonderful thing. Your abilities are not carved in stone, they are a garden. And with attention and effort and the right strategies, you can grow, always. It's never too late to learn and develop. Remember the power of not yet.
I want to leave everyone listening with a final provocative thought. Think of the one area in your life where you feel the most stuck, where you've told yourself, I'm just not good at this, or this will never change. Now ask yourself honestly, is that a statement of fact? Or is it the voice of a fixed mindset that you've just been believing for too long? And what is one tiny growth-oriented action you could take, not tomorrow, but today, to start proving that old story wrong?
That's the question that can change everything.
This was it on today's book, guys. And guys, kindly subscribe and follow us for more such insights on various books. And also, do not forget to join our social media community to stay in touch and get updated.